Hi, I'm Ed. Today, you and I are going to paint Vincent van Gogh's masterpiece, Starry, Starry Night. It's easy. Hi, I'm Ed, and we're going to paint this Van Gogh really simply. I'm going to break it down into easy steps. We're not going to use any fancy paint, expensive paint. We're going to use some fairly average brushes, just some big ones and some little ones. The easiest way to get this thing started is just to start it. The way forward, any paint, water-based paint. It's all as long as it's not, don't use oil paint, it'll take 8 weeks to dry. The start is the start. We're going to mix up some red and some yellow. We're going to do a wash. A wash means we're going to fill the whole canvas, cheap canvas, because this is your first ever go painting. Some red, yellow, we're going to get like an orangey colour. Loads and loads of water. Big brush for this, because we're going to paint the whole thing. Something like that. And let's start it. You can do this even without looking. It's that random, it's not important. Oh, it's gone. Loads of water, and we're going to fill the whole canvas with this. This is going to give it a bit of extra sort of depth later on. The more paint we put on it, the more layers, the better your painting is going to be. So just keep going, keep going. Bit of yellow. If you want to use big brush, you can do it quicker than me. That's fine. It doesn't matter if the water dribbles everywhere. Here we go. I'm going to get the water right up to it so we can get this done quick. That's it. See how much I care about this wash? It's not much. We're just getting the paint on. Filling the whole canvas is what we want. You don't have to be this way, that way. It doesn't make any difference. It's just about the colour. It's about loads of different colours that are going on top of each other in the layers. Right, a bit more paint. A bit more paint. This is going to dry in about 2 minutes, probably. That's it. Should have used a bigger brush, shouldn't I? Right. We're nearly there. Nearly there. None of this painting's tricky. We'll do some harder ones later where there's a little bit more maths and kind of you've got to measure that bit in relation to that bit, in relation to that bit. This is pretty easy. We just finish off this wash like a background sort of foundation. Here's your first top tip. Save money on framing by painting around the outside. So if you paint all the way around the outside, don't forget to do the bottom and the top. It means when you're done, you can just hang it straight on the wall, saving you about £50 on framing. You don't even have to use canvas, you can use a board. So if you've just got a bit of wood, paint it white, you can use that. You can make this masterpiece for probably less than a tenner, I would have thought. You don't need to buy the expensive paints, there's no need. There's no need. When I do the painting classes, so like last night we did Monet. We did a Monet painting to 25 people that had never painted before. And we can show you the results of that a bit later. But the paint we use is literally just tins of emulsion. That's all it is. It's exactly the same as the fancy expensive paint you get in small tubes. The only difference is there's a bit more pigment in it. So it's the pigment that's actually expensive. But you don't need to use it unless you're David Hockney and you're selling the stuff for millions and millions and you want the super high vibrancy. You just don't need it for what we're doing. Of course, if you've got loads of money, go for it. Spend all of it on paint. Here we go. All right, that's done. Have I painted around the outsides? No. I'll paint around the outsides like that. There we go. Right, so in about 2 minutes, that'll have dried. To help it dry, so I've got some like dribbles on here. It doesn't matter if you get your hands dirty, that's fine. You can just do that. And a bit of paint on the top as well. Sides are mostly important because people generally don't sort of look under there or on the top, but make sure you definitely remember to do the sides. That's it, stage one, complete. Now we need to do just a little bit of measuring. You notice that I'm not bothering with rulers and pencils and paper and stuff because we just need to do this we're just going to go straight in with paint basically. Big brush or little brush, doesn't matter. When I say big brush, that's what I've got. That's about as big as you need. Little brush for later, doing all of the little church and these bits and pieces. It's probably about this sort of size. Not expensive. They just do the job. So, this should be dry. It's dry already. What was that, like 30 seconds, it's dry. We're going to start off with this bit. We sort of need a middle point, and you probably heard the arts, to make a good composition you have to break it up into thirds. So normally the horizon's like 1/3 up of a landscape, and it is on this Van Gogh obviously because he's a genius. So there you go, that's the third up and that's the other third there. So the 2 points that we're looking for, at this point here, a third up in the middle, and this point here, a third up from the top. So we're just going to crack on with yellow for now to sort of map this thing out. I'm going to go slightly darker yellow, so like an orange, just so that you can see it. So halfway, that's your halfway line there. A third of the way up is there, pretty much. So that's this bit, that's a third. Just do a little dot there. Have a little wander away from it, because if you wander away from it, you can sort of half squint your eyes out and you can work out if it is a third. Chances are you've gone a bit high. If you have, just sort of adjust it and try and get to that third there. And then the same thing with the top. It's got to be about, probably about there. Is that right? Yeah, that'll do. Right, fine. So this dot here is the middle of this swirl, which is the Milky Way, allegedly. After a few absinthe, it probably is. This one here is the top of that horizon there. The next bit, we're going to do two circles. We're going to do one here and one here. There we go. Those there. Just check how big you want them. Like they're basically not too small and not massive out here. So I don't know, in total, what is it? It's rock pinkies. That's the distance. It's there. And also you've drawn a little man with some eyes like that. Just do a little face. Drawn a little face like that. Amazing. And you're done, finished. The important bit is the top half of this one. So redefine that. And the bottom half of the other. So you can redefine that one. We're going to put loads of paint on top of this in a bit. So any mistakes, it doesn't matter if you draw a smiley face here and a little nose. It doesn't matter. There's going to be paint on top of it. We're going to try the bottom half of here. The bottom half of here is going to be the bottom part of this swirl here. So we're going to have to go up over the top, down a bit, and up to here. Sounds a bit technical, but it's not really. So the best way to do it is find a mark on the top. So maybe an inch down from the left-hand side. Right, go there. I can't even see it. Oh, hold on. All right, go there. And then we draw a line down, and it finishes, this line coming down, finishes on the top, basically this sort of level here. So just doing a line, really sketchy, because this is the sketch. It comes all the way around here. Don't join it up here. That's your first mistake. Don't do that. Bring it all the way around. All the way around today. It doesn't matter, you do it. I've done it in red, but you know, you can do it in yellow or whatever you like really. Orange. You can add a bit of white if you want. It doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter at the minute. Okay, so that's this first sort of swoosh. The second swoosh is just underneath it. And that joins up with this circle here. And it sort of just comes around the top of it like that. This is the only hard bit of the whole painting, like trying to sort this out. So spend maybe like 5 minutes just looking at your reference. You could probably somewhere on the internet find a photograph of this. I've actually printed off a photograph of this one, but I'm sure on the internet you can find this somewhere. So I would print one off for your reference. Rather than mine, I'd go Van Gogh, better painter. This dot here, halfway up, we'll do a little dot there. And that's for this star here. Right there. Then we're going to go off this circle and we're going to do a line that comes round, and then it sort of touches the edge of that and it comes round in there to like a sort of snail. That's it, like there, like that sort of snail. There we go. And I'll tell you what we need to do actually is from this middle point we're going to do the top of this snail. So long as you've got sort of smooth curves, doesn't really matter. If this comes over here, doesn't really matter. If this one comes down here, doesn't matter. As long as you've got like smooth curves that sort of half join into each other, then that's kind of what you're after. At the end of the day, it's the sky, which is nature, and the nature can do anything. If you're drawing a building or a person, unless you're Picasso, you kind of want, you want your eyes kind of level. But with nature, if you've got a branch of a tree poking out over there, it doesn't matter. So basically, don't get too hung up about how these curves are going, so long as they're sort of smooth. Yeah, so from the middle, we're just going to do this line here. So from the middle, that comes around like that. Next up, moon. If people say sun, they go, yeah, there's the sun. That's the moon because it's at night. We're going to do that in the orange. So just add a little bit of red. So far I've just used 2 colours. Well, white if you want to use the white, but just the red and the yellow. Just mix up red and yellow to make some orange. And we don't have to even do this moon shape. What we're going to do is we're just going to do a circle. We'll sort out the moon later. So there's a circle, like that. Doesn't have to be amazing. Because for loads of you, it'll be your first time actually painting since you're at school or whatever. So it doesn't really matter. There we go. That's just a circle. So it's that circle. Later on, we're going to basically put some white on top by putting another circle here. So we're just literally just putting another small circle here, and then the moon will pop out. That sort of shape will pop out. It's a good time to have a look at your reference and find out where this star is. If you print out the Starry Night from the internet, you'll find that I've missed out quite a lot of stars. There's probably one there. There's probably one there. You'll see on here that there are a few more, but the stars can be really anywhere you like. The stars in the middle, there's some tiny, tiny orange dots. So if you want a star there, tiny dot, tiny orange dot. There's a star up here. Dot, dot. And there's one there. There's one there. There's one there. So basically what I've done is this dot, 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 dot. Those ones there. And then there's a few little ones here. Oh, that's a bit big. It's supposed to be a small dot, that is. But it doesn't matter because we're going to paint over it anyway. A small dot. This is all just for sort of mapping it out. There we go, there we go, there we go. Right, another one here. Easy. Right. Whilst we're on with this orange, paint, orange yellow paint. We're going to do the windows of the village, because it's going to be, you're going to get a more vibrant sort of yellow coming through. Like if you do the yellow now, it's going to be more vibrant than trying to put yellow on top of blue later on, because it's just going to sort of dull down. Unless you put like 18 coats of yellow on top, you'll get it. So just roughly map out, and it's a little village. It doesn't have to be exact, but roughly look at your reference and just roughly see where some windows might be. That's how much I care. It's just a rough idea of where your village is. You don't have to smudge it in, but that's just showing you that it's not important at this stage. Right, next move. What are we going to do? So we're kind of waiting for this to dry out properly to put our blue on. Whilst we've got some red on the go, we should do the tree. It's a cypress tree, believe it or not. He's painted a few cypress trees, did Van Gogh. How are we going to start it? So we'll start by going straight top to bottom. Red paint, top of the tree. So we're going from here to here. If you want to make a little bit of a sort of curve on it, that's fine. It's almost like a sort of fire. So not all the way at the top, but give it an inch. Try and work out where it's going to be in relation to this star here. The top of the tree wants to be just to the left of this star here, but equally, it's not that important. So here we go. Let's go big. There you go. So you might have thought that the whole thing's blue and yellow, but actually, we're going to make more sort of vibrant painting by having all of these colours underneath. On top of this red, we're going to put some green, and on top of the green, we're going to put some blue, and then on top of the blue, we'll put some purple in a bit, and you'll see that tiny bits of yellow and tiny bits of red will poke through, and it'll make it more vibrant. So you can see on here, like you can see just a little bits of red and tiny bits of yellow coming through, and it makes the tree jump forward. That's it. You can just have a nice time painting the tree. Let's just do it. So we've got that one there, and then there's a little bit popping up to this side. Use your reference. Don't look at this. You probably really shouldn't be copying me. You should be copying this. This is kind of just a guide, and you can spend as much time as you want doing it. There we go. So let's just make some nice curves. So you can see how these curves are they're sort of mimicking a bit these curves. And so it comes out a bit at the bottom, comes out like that. Fine. If there's a little bit of green, yellow showing through, that's cool. All right. There we go. All right. All right. Spend as much time as you like doing this. But one thing to bear in mind is that the tree comes not quite halfway, but it's not far off. So don't just have your tree here. Actually, the bottom of it, what's halfway on there? Yeah, it's about an inch in from halfway. So the bottom of it is probably about here. So make sure you get all the way across. The top of it sort of joins up there. So like roughly like that. There we go. Right. So whilst this is drying, go and make a cup of tea, and we'll see you in a minute. So welcome back. All we need now is some white paint. Let's do it. A little bit of white paint on the palettes to go along with the yellow that we've already got on the go. So we need a light yellow. Remember when we're painting this, we're painting the moon, we're going to do a little white circle on top of this. This is the time for it. So white and yellow, that's all we need. That's all we need. And we're going to do a circle. Forget about trying to draw this crescent. We're doing a small circle to the sort of, I don't know, 2 o'clock. So here comes a small circle. Just try and draw the circle and the crescent bit will come. So there's the circle. There's the circle. Not too bad. There you go. So there's the circle. And your crescent has just appeared. So now, around the outsides of all of the stars, we need this yellow and the white. This is going to take a bit of time. The more paint strokes that you do, the better the painting will be. So I'm probably going to go a little bit faster than you need to. You can take as much time as this, over this, as you like. So yeah, I'm going to go quick. Otherwise it's going to be a feature film video. But yeah, you take your time. Okay, here we go. And we've got that coming in over there. That's it. So we're leaving a little bit of this orangey yellow showing through. That's fine. And we're doing the lines, the brush strokes that we use are going to be about kind of centimetre long. And kind of commit to the brush stroke. By that I mean, when you've done it, you leave it. Don't sort of overwork it. So you just do it, leave it, do it, leave it, leave it. And we're trying to get the direction of obviously a circle. So we're sort of doing like a mini circles around circles, but in like dabby dabby. Not abby dabby. Here we go, like that. So you carry on doing that around all of these. So I'm going to go quick, maybe small brush for this. Yeah, small brush, small brush, small brush. So I'm going to go fast. So go da, 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 da. There we go. All right. You take your time. I'm going to fly through this. Keep looking at your reference, always best. Don't copy me, look at your reference. Always, I mean, that's the sort of lesson for all art, really. You kind of, if you're drawing a tree, you need to look at the tree. Don't look at the painting of the tree that you're doing. You've just got to kind of, eyes on tree, back to painting. Eyes on reference, back to painting, back to painting. So we've got a few more around here. There's another one there. Oh, there's one at the top we forgot. That one there. There's one just there. Okay. And then these. That's it. Okay, so we've kind of got a bit of a flow around each of these stars. We need to carry on that flow. The flow, by that I mean the directions of the brush strokes go along the same direction of all of the curves. So you can keep going on a little bit of white. You can do the whole thing in white. But then in a minute, what we're going to do, short brush strokes again. Then in a minute, what we're going to do is going to get a fresh brush and start putting some blues on. The reason we're using fresh brush is as soon as you add blue to your yellow, it'll go green. We don't want that. So that's it. Get around that. There go the tunes. Tunes downstairs. We are in a pub, obviously. All right. Okay. Best not go as fast as I am. You take your time. Here we go. And there, right there. Going to carry on doing. This bit's important actually. So remember the first dot that we did that was a third down from the bottom? This is where it all kind of spirals out. So if you can get a nice spiral coming out of here, it's a good thing. There's no real right or wrong to it, but just keep the brush strokes going along the lines of the curves. Eventually, this bottom half of the circle will kind of get painted out with blues and that's it. Okay. So it's starting to take shape anyway. This is like the mapping out of it all. It's coming up, it's coming up. There, again, there's like a little spiral in here. So if you take your time, you could go really detailed in there if you wanted to. You could just make it like, it's almost like a sort of snail, it's like a sort of snail shell. So you could go like right in there like that. And make it as small as you like. It's going to look quite cool. You could do the same thing in there. You could take a week painting this and go really super detailed on everything. Or I reckon you could probably paint it in about 2 hours, an hour maybe if you go super fast. Anyway, that's that, go like that. So yeah, just keep going. This sort of technique is called impasto, and it means that you can see the brush strokes actually on the canvas. So you see on here, get in on that, you can see the brush strokes, and I'm putting them on once and letting it dry. This is what I'm not doing. I'm not doing this. I'm doing this. So quite a bit of paint on. So it's kind of like that. So it's just gradually building up and building up. Oh look, there's another star. We forgot that one. There's another star here. Actually, let's move it. Let's move this star because we've got it there. Probably better there. So let's move this star. Just get a little bit of orange. Just move him down there. And then just do our white around it. So mistakes are fine. We can deal with all of mistakes. Oh look, it's gone pink. Might be all right though. It probably will be all right. There we go. Right, so that's kind of, you can just keep going and keep going on that as much as you like. I want to get rid of this line, I want to get rid of this line. So if it's annoying you, you can just go over it now or wait till the next stage in the blue period. Right, I think it's time to we need to go blue. We do. We actually need to. So get a new brush. Don't kill the brush. So don't just leave it on the side. It'll just dry out. So save your brushes. Put the brush in the water. New brush. So we've kind of got some light blue. Got some light blue here. Mix it in with a little bit of white. And what we're going to do are the hills. So that we're going to do this kind of hillside here. As we know, that little dot there, that's a third up. So that's going to be, as we come around to it here, that's our dot there, remember? And then it disappears behind the tree and it comes out again there. So it doesn't matter massively which colour, but it does matter, I mean, which sort of shade of blue, but don't go green, that's all I'm saying. You can start from this way, or I'm over here, so I'm going to start from this one. Let's have a look. If you look at the reference, it's actually, this is about halfway up. So you don't want to start it down here, it's actually halfway up, which is about there. So we can do a little, I don't know, maybe it's like a forest on the top of a hill or something, or the absinthe was kicking in again. We just need a little sort of shimmy there. Doesn't matter, doesn't have to be perfect this at all, because it's more of a sort of suggestion of a sort of hillside. And it definitely comes underneath this swirl. And you want these little curves coming up like that. And then there's a big sort of sweeping one down here. And then it'll roughly go on our third up. And we're still trying to keep these sort of curves coming. So the whole thing has a really nice sort of flow to it. And so you don't, probably, apart from the church spire, the church spire, I reckon, is the only straight line in the whole thing. There's a few straight lines in the buildings, but mostly everything else curves and they all kind of merge into each other. What we can do is we can kind of sketch out the whole of this in this blue. So we've got that first one in the background, then we've got some hills coming down, roughly. If a little bit of the yellow shows through, that's fine. Don't forget to paint around the edges as well. Saving money on framing again. There we go. And then, as it comes towards the little village, remember those these little lights, candlelit windows. It's a lot easier to draw a square. If you get on this one, say there's a little light here, it's a lot easier to do this. Draw the square around the light, rather than trying to draw a really tight square. And you can I've used big brush. You'll probably want to use little brush, and it doesn't massively matter where these lights are, but just so long as there's a few of them. So loads of little squares like that. You can go quite random. Random's good. They don't have to be perfect squares like that either. See these little bits of red poking through? That's a good thing. It'll help. And then we can just block out the rest of this. That's it. Then we can just block out the rest of this in the blue. We're going to come back to that later, but we have got the windows in. All right, there we go. If you want to use a little bit of dark blue, you can. Just add it. It's not essential. We're going to come back to this bit later on, but now you can see it's all taking shape. And then blue again on the other side, over here. Give it a little bit of a curve on the horizon. Probably, what is it? I mean, it's about a quarter of the way up over here. So that's half, that's quarter, so I'm too far down. So it needs to come up a bit if that's a quarter. Half, quarter, there we go. That's that. Okie dokie. There we go. Right, looking good, looking good. Doesn't matter if you get a bit of blue in here, because we want loads of different colours. You can do that if you want. Probably not as big as strokes as these, because Van Gogh, as we were saying, he's using smaller strokes. So if you want to go into like huge detail here, you can. Get little dabby ones like that. Or if you're sort of a more flowy style, then you can just go. Right, what I've got to do now, I've got to get some more blue on top of this sky. The sky is probably the most important part of this. So take your time. Remember doing all of these little strokes here. Basically, we're going to do loads more of that. Loads more of that. With the two different blues, you've got the light blue and the dark blue, and the white. And we're going to mix them up and get another brush, hold on. There it is, right. We're just going to go over the top. We're just going to go like that. So commit. We're not rubbing it in. Don't do this, because it looks rubbish, and look, it's going green. No good. We're doing these little dabs. So once it's on, it's on. Dark blue on top of the light blue on top of the dark blue, like loads of different layers on top of each other. There we go. Now you can spend as long a time as you like on this, but make sure that they go in the direction of the flow of everything. So you can carry on doing that. It goes into a little spiral. You can do your little snail thing in the middle. All of that goes around like this. We do need to have this, I'm not sure what it is. It's some sort of light show in the background. We need to map that out a little bit. So there's a line here that just needs sorting out. Look at your reference again. There's a line here that needs to be in. So to do that, we're going to basically do this blue on top of it. So starting on this side, small strokes again, light blue, there we go, and that just lines up. It sort of just lines up with this. I've gone a bit too far down, but I don't really care, so that's fine. Don't worry about it. If it doesn't fit in, it doesn't fit in. All right. These little strokes, try and get them all the same size if you can. Just helps with sort of continuity. I'm going to go and do this snail again. So I'm coming in. There you go. We'll get right in there like that. That's it. These areas in here that aren't part of this swirl and they're not the moon, you can you want to sort of carry on the curves in a way. What I'm saying is, don't start doing things like this, because that's not the flow of things. The flow of things is kind of coming this way. So this is how easy it is to correct your mistakes. Just put some paint on top. We need the flow of things to be coming around here. And then we don't want these lines here to crash into this swirl. We need them to kind of go around it a bit. See what I mean, like that? They're kind of going around it. That's it. So I say we carry on doing that for as long as you like. But you don't want to watch me doing the whole thing. We'll come back after I finish the sky. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to sort of reaffirm this line here, just with a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow, because these are the bits I've missed out. So just straight on top's fine. Again, use your reference here as opposed to copying me. It's all about the reference again. So there we go, a little bit of that. Then I'm going to try and get this line here. A little bit of white again, a little bit yellow. And that might just do it. I think that's good enough. That is good enough. So the next stage, I've got some purple paint again. Let's clean your brush a little bit. We're going to start putting in the village and also getting this tree a lot darker. So if we start with the hardest bit, or the perceived hardest bit, is the church steeple. So it has to cross, the important bit is it has to cross this horizon here, just the tip of it does. The way to get a lot of control on when you're doing this is by using your support pinky. That means you're touching the canvas with your finger here. And it means rather than painting it like this from miles away, it's going to be really hard. But if you use it like a pencil and then touch the canvas with your support pinky, you can get a finer detail. So get quite a bit of paint, water it down if you need to, only a little bit. And then we're going to do the church steeple. So here we go. You can start at the top and work down. So just wait till it catches. So that's just caught it on there. There we go. And that's your church steeple. We're going to put some lilac over it a bit later. But for now, we've cracked it. Mine's a bit fat, probably. But it doesn't matter. There we go. There we go. Right, so that's the church steeple. So underneath that would be the rest of the church. So again, forgetting about the lilac, we're just going to, in this deep purple, we're going to do the shapes. So there's a shape of a triangle of a roof, then there's a square. With basically with art, you're not trying to paint a church. All you're doing is you're putting some squares next to each other and some triangles next to each other. It's not massively important where they go, just as long as you've got a rough idea of the buildings. When you see one of your windows here, make sure you give it a roof. So you can have a roof on top of your window and a kind of gable end. So just paint around those windows like that. You're never going to, unless you spend ages on it, you're not going to get it absolutely bang onto this. So we're just going to try and get a representation of the village. All in purple for now. We're going to put some other colours on top. So really, there's some straight up bits and there's some horizontal bits. It doesn't matter too much where they go. Leave a little bit of that blue shining through is fine. Okay, there's a couple of buildings at the front, in the foreground, so give them like a bit of a roof. And then maybe there's a window shining through there. Okay, and then the same. A few more little houses. I'm not drawing houses, look. I'm just drawing marks of the tops of roofs. There we go. So that's the general crack for buildings. Squares and a few gable ends. Squares and a few triangles like that. But let the paint shine. Let the paint behind shine through. There we go, that's not far off. So from a distance, that's going to look pretty detailed, but actually really close up, it's pretty abstract. There we go, right. So now I guess what we need to do is we need to bring up the horizon again. So we're going to put the purple on here, on the top. So we're going to build in these hillsides, and there we go, this sort of thing. So we can use purple or the dark blue or both. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to use both, I think. Let's go for both. Okay. If you look at the shape of the brush, of the direction the brush strokes go, to give an idea of the hillside, they're going like this. They're going to kind of go into like that sort of curve shape, and it's all the way, that curve shape sort of is repeated kind of when we're doing these forests or woodlands or whatever. So they're almost looking like trees, but it's that same pattern that goes around here and also down here. So we'll start off, that's a bit dry, so a little bit of water. There we go, right. So we're just going to go around the outline of this. Keep checking your reference. Near the top of that. And then it's this shape. There we go. Like that. And then when you get to this hill, you're doing the horizon. Don't forget to stop there, where your church is. And go down there. And then this one kind of goes like that. I'm going to put an extra one in, doesn't matter, that's how much it matters, it doesn't. There we go, I'll have a bit of that. And these little marks here, we're going to make it look like the hill's in the distance. There we go. Right, now the hills are a little bit closer. We're going to do the top of this one. As long as you've got a nice curve, it doesn't matter too much. I need more paint. That's all gone a bit. Either more paint or more water, probably more water. If it dribbles down like that, you might get too much water. It doesn't matter, because we're going to paint over it, that's fine. So we just have that. So water down actually works quite well. There we go. All right, now there's a bit of light blue on here, so that's just blue and white in here. And you can keep playing with this as much as you like. You can put more blue on top and then more white on top of that, but as long as you get the rough sort of directions of the brush strokes. And then coming down here into this town, it's the same shape, but they're trees rather than hillsides, so it's they're shorter brush strokes, so just little ones like that. It might get to the stage where you're happy with it. If you're happy with an area, you don't overdo it. So I think that bit there's worked quite well. I'm probably going to leave that. These bits need a bit more work. There we go. Right. The one that glaringly obvious thing that we need to sort out would be the tree. So you need the darkest colour you've got, which is the purple. If you want to mix it with the blue, then that's fine. We don't bother using black at all in these classes because it just kills it. Even if there is physically a bit of black in it, we're going to use a purple because otherwise things go grey and we don't want that. This is where it all sort of comes together now. You might want to use probably shorter brush strokes than I'm doing, so you maybe want to go like that. And want a bit of that red to show through. And then make sure you go over the edges of the red, because the tree is obviously in the foreground. There we go. There we go. And it's all coming together. There we go. So I'm going to try and do it like I've been speeded up. Not too important. The only thing that's important is the direction. And get loads of paint on so you can actually see it. So you might want to scoop up the paint like that. You can get a whole load of it on, and it'll go. And it'll add to your texture. It'll still dry quite quick. It'll dry in 5 minutes. And then you can paint on top. Okay, so keep going like that. You want to sort of kill the red really now with a little bit of it showing through. The opposite of red is green. So when you've got a colour wheel, you'll be able to see that. Literally, the bang opposite of red is green. And artists use opposites of colours next to each other all the time to make it kind of a bit more I don't know, give it like luster or pop or whatever they call it. So here comes the green. Doesn't matter if you mix it in with the purple, just scatter a bit in. As long as we've got these nice shapes coming in like that. It might look a bit too bright. It probably is a little bit too bright, but we're going to go over it again with more purple. So just until you're happy, really, just keep painting. If it's too dark, make it lighter, and if it's too light, put some more dark stuff on it, and just keep going until you're happy. There we go. Make sure you get all the way down to the bottom, because the worst thing, well, not the worst thing you do, but it's bad if you've got your canvas tucked in underneath the bottom of your easel and you miss out this line here. You've got to get all the way right down to the bottom of it. And then don't forget to paint the bottom as well when you give it to your favourite person or even your least favourite person for Christmas. There we go. So that's getting there now. All right. That's it. Maybe it's still a little bit of red in there, but I'm all right with it. I'm quite happy. There we go. It's a bit obvious here. Look, we've got a big gap, so we need to just fill that in with a bit of village. We've got some trees coming down here, so it's that same sort of swooshy stroke here. So it's the dark against the light and the light against the dark. All right, here we go. So I think we're almost there. We've got to bring up the village a little bit. For that, we need to use like a lilac-y colour. I'll also just mess around with this tree a little bit. You should spend more time than me doing the short strokes rather than me. Just short strokes like this. There we go. So it's nice. You see where that green goes right next to that red? Just in here, it looks really cool. Let's put a bit of green over here as well. Okay. Now to finish it off, you can spend as long on it as you like, but to finish it off, this is what we're going to do. We need to make some lilac. So to make your lilac, just add a little bit of white into the purple. And then again, we've got a little brush. If you need to make a really sort of sharp point, and you think your brush is all bristly at the end, you just pinch it like that. So you can just pinch the paint off like that, and you've got like a kind of chisel shape. And that'll mean that when you do this steeple, you can get really into it. You can go support pinky again. That's what dentists use. They always use their support pinky. And you can get really in like a fine pencil, but you've got to pinch it. So then you can get in it like that. Leave a little bit of the purple on the outside of it. I want to go a bit lighter. It wants to jump out a little bit more, I think. So if you're right-handed like me, and you want a straight line, you've got to go in from this angle. It's really hard to get a straight line on this side. So I'm going to have to go around here and do it like from that side. If that's okay, if you can see that. That's kind of the most important bit. And then you can just put in the light, lilac-y colours. You can do the edges of the roofs. You can leave the doorways, so don't paint in a rectangle. You leave the rectangle. A bit like we did the windows. It's a lot easier to leave it on rather than painting it in. You can paint it in afterwards if you want. But I'm lazy, so I'm just trying to do things as quick as possible. There we go. So the roofs, you can mix up the colours. You can put some green in here if you want. Oh yeah, that's the point. We need some green over here in the trees. So you can mix up the green with the lilac, and this sort of forest, there is a little bit of green in here. So this area, there is a little bit of green in there. It's quite nice how it's all the little bits of yellow and bits of orange that they're sort of just shining through a little bit. It would be really dull if it was totally flat. So if this was coloured in totally blue, it'd be really flat. It'd look like a print, you know what I mean? So it'd be like, that's why we have all of the layers and the little bits sort of shimmering off each other. We can finish this in a minute, 1 minute flat. We're gonna have a 60-second countdown. Just nice to highlight these buildings a little bit. It's the same, just like a little bit of white, a little bit of purple. You don't have to be, you can be really sketchy, because don't forget, things that are closer up are more abstract. When I stand back, it looks like I've done a really intricate job, but really I'm trying to do it in about 30 seconds. So here come the buildings, and then a bit of paint, see whatever lands on it. I'm going to do the top of that roof, there, that's a door. It's all about little happy accidents, so if you go kind of dush, that looks like, oh look, there's a door there and there's a window, but really, there we go, we're just making it up as we go along, it's brilliant. Okay, then there's a few little buildings over here, and then there's a little bit of green. The more you look at the rest, you'll just keep seeing these bits that you've missed, which is fine. You can crack on, you can just keep going for ages on it. There we go. So there's a little bit of green in there. I say, looking at my picture now, I reckon that this is probably a little bit red. I'm going to put some more purple and some blue just in these red bits. So knock that back a bit. Don't be scared to use your fingers if you need to rub it in. 2 brushes are quicker than 1. Or 4. If you need to. So don't be scared about doing that, it's all fine. And also don't be scared if you want to use the other end of the brush, you can. That gets some quite interesting marks. You're like, you tell me that now. There we go. So just to get some interesting marks on there, you're sort of scraping the paint off a bit. That's it. That's it. And we're pretty much done. Keep going for as long as you like. You can make these swirls swirlier, or you can make the moon brighter. You can just keep going. But when you're happy, don't forget to sign it. I'm going to sign mine, Ed, in the bottom right-hand corner. Do you know what? I'm going to go, let's go in red. So you're going to pinch the brush again, so you get it nice and sharp. So just pinching it like that to get it nice and sharp. If you've got a really long name, initials are fine. There you go. There you go. You've just painted your very own Starry, Starry Night by Van Gogh. We'll see you on the next one.